Alright, so today I'll be showing you the Global 1800 de-icer unit. This particular model is military spec, so it may differ from your civilian spec model, but they are mostly similar. Basically, the differences would just be the boom light and the condor system. Your truck most likely will not have the condor system, and if you do have it, it is not applicable to our operations. And the color is a little bit different. So first of all, you want to do a walkthrough and make sure that the truck is ready for operation. Check fire extinguishers, make sure that it's in the green and that they are good to use. You want to check washer fluid reservoirs. This is very important because when you are doing type 1 and type 4, it gets really messy on this unit. Verify that your hose is stowed away before you drive around. Big thing is make sure you chalk it and cone off the front boom. This boom right here is about $20,000 to replace, so you do not want anything hitting that spray boom. One thing to note, this is the auxiliary fuel cell. This is what the rear engine uses in the rear burner. The chassis fuel cell is located. And then going over some other systems here, this is our manual system for operating the boom in case of any kind of emergency. The electronic system has failed. Pretty self-explaining with those placards. You also have your manual override that allows you to use those manual hydraulic controls, and then you also have a 12-volt pump that you can hold up and power up the hydraulic system if there is no engine power. Right here is the Sage 3.4 million BTU heater. This is what actually heats the glycol up. And then you also have your auxiliary engine. This right here powers hydraulics, which in return powers the water pump, or the glycol pump I should say, and provides hydraulic power to the boom, the blower, and other systems. Main thing to note, this thing really just primarily provides hydraulic power, and everything else is driven off of hydraulics. And then close this compartment. Frequency identifier for the de-ice pad. Other access panel for the heater system if you need to see manual fuel pressure and water pressure. Right here is the fluid sampling. We are only going to sample fluid when the system is running and has circulated, just to make sure that we have the most accurate, up-to-date temp. And what I mean by temp is the freezing point. Right here is the water pump and for the type 1 and the type 4, also the fuel pump for the heater system. We also have the fire suppression system right here. That's where you can pull the pin and activate the full fire suppression system that can extinguish fires on this truck. This right here is the nozzle stow. This can only be moved when the auxiliary power is provided on the. So let's make sure to know that there's 2 tanks that you have to fill. All right, there is 2 compartments here. We have a 1,600 gallon type 1 compartment and a 175 gallon type 4 compartment. These right here are the drains slash fill. You can bottom load if you have the proper pumps and adapters with these cam locks. We have safety wired these just to make sure there's no accidental discharge and that the valves are closed. To check fluid levels, all you do is open the sight glass valve and it allows the fluid to flow in and reach the level that is representative of the tank. And we currently have 700 gallons of type 1 in here. close that. Then we also have our Type 4 compartment, and you check the level of that. Make sure you have your data placards to verify what types you have. All right, now it is time to fire up the system. So let's assume the rear battery is dead. I do want to demonstrate how you can start the rear engine with the chassis engine first, because this is a common occurrence, and so much so that the manufacturer has implemented a connector so we can connect the auxiliary batteries. And it's important, once the rear engine has started, you have to isolate those batteries, because both alternator systems can fight each other with the chassis and the auxiliary. All right, so this is our control panel here for the auxiliary engine. We're gonna go ahead and put it in the on position, and then we have the glow plug indicator that is extinguished, so we're gonna go ahead and start that engine. All right, engine has started. We'll go ahead and disconnect the batteries. Key on this one is push to start, so we'll go ahead and push to start it. All right, both engines are running. We are going ahead and turn the pumps on. This will basically ramp up the rear engine RPM, and we'll go ahead and cycle enough hydraulic power to power the Type 1 pump and the fuel pump. So we'll go ahead and flip this. It's gonna be really loud, so make sure you have hearing protection. All right, before we do anything else, we want to run it for just a few minutes to allow the system to warm up before we go ahead and engage the heater. During that time, what we'll do is lower the boom and we'll sample the fluid. Before we sample it, make sure that you dump a lot of that fluid out just so you get the most accurate sample. As you see, a lot of fluid shoots out. That's a good sign that we have positive pressure and that fluid is circulating. All right, now is the time to fire up the heater. It's a very simplified process. After a few minutes of that rear engine with the pumps running, should be good to go. We'll flip this switch out, and then we're gonna go monitor and watch and make sure that the first fire up is good. This hasn't run in a while, so it might be a little bit smokier than normal, but rest assured it's perfectly fine. And once you have verified that the heater is running, no fires, no issues, you're good to be inside of the cab, but it's just a good idea to be out there to watch it fire up for the first time. Make sure everything is going all good. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and flip this switch up. heater indicate, the heater light will go on, and I'm gonna go outside and watch it. So our heater is now running, and what you need to do is verify your levels, make sure that your fluid temperature is climbing, and that your ADF pressure is there. It does take a few minutes for it to heat up, but you should be able to spray it momentarily after firing it up. It is very instantaneous, and it's an on-demand system. Any excess hot water in this closed loop will just go back into the Type 1 compartment. Alright, so we'll go ahead and plug into the box. You can adjust your headset volume right here. And then you also can open this back window here and turn this fan on if you need ventilation. And then you also have your heater control right here. The headset goes right there. All right. This thing can give you abrupt movements, so it's important that you do buckle up. And then for our particular unit, our flow meter is right up here. You can adjust the rate or your total. So you want to go to total gallons, and then we go and hold that down, and then it's reset. All right. First thing you want to do is fly out. This right here is going to extend the first section of the boom. Just hold that switch down. It's important to do that one first so that the driver can see straight ahead and they have better visibility with moving the aircraft on the ramp and moving the de-ice truck itself. So once you're positioned up, you may now raise by holding this red dead man trigger and pulling back. And then, if you want to extend out, you have a tilt switch that extends the boom. And then for some models will allow you to spin the bucket. Ours won't, but if you have that model, you just hold the dead man and you twist this and you can rotate the cab. However, the only way we can rotate with our particular unit is if you do side rotation on here, and this will pivot on the actual boom. Go ahead and extend out and raise. We're going to move around here. We can pretend that this truck is an airplane, And we can move our right joystick around, and this will allow us to move the spray boom. Lighting is up here if you need to turn lights on. And if we're starting our application process, we want to go ahead and hold this down all the way until de-icing is amber on here. And we go ahead and spray. The foot pedal, ours has been modified to be spring-loaded. However, your model may not have the spring-loaded action. Push down, and that will spray type 1 fluid. Due to the current market price of it, I will not be pressing that pedal unless we are selling it. However, you press the pedal to adjust your flow, and then while you're spraying, you have your thumb spray pattern button. And that will correspond to right pushes for a stream, left pushes for a mist. All right. This right here is our blower. Our particular model, we don't use it. It's currently inoperable, but if you do want to use it, but if your model does have it enabled, you can press this button and press this red trigger right here, and it'll blow air. And we'll go ahead and try the fluid injection. You can also blow air with the fluid. And that truck is now covered in glycol. At the Pueblo location, we do not use the air. It is inoperable. If you need to use the front wiper, intermittent, you can twist that and adjust the intensity of it. If you need to rinse, there is a fluid injector button. If you need to wash the right side, push that right button. Left side, you just hold that down. This should be good. That is the basic fundamentals of it. Your trainer will show you more. Alright, so we're going to go back and position to stow. While we're going back, I want to show you a couple other things. We do have a fluid pressure gauge to verify that you have fluid pressure on the nozzle. And then you also have an emergency stop that will shut everything down if everything goes bad. If you lose engine power, this right here is your auxiliary pump switch. Hold that, and it will add hydraulic pressure to the system, and you may actuate movements. Only do that if you have an engine failure or some other hydraulic failure, and you need manual electric hydraulic power. You hold that down, and you will be good to go. All right. Currently centering. When you have the boom positioning indicator green, you are good to land. So we're going to go ahead and keep in mind I'm doing this in May, so it's 100 degrees inside here. And as you're descending, watch and make sure the boom actually lands on the pedestal. Alright, and then now we're good to fly in. It will take a second for it to go back in, but it will hit. When you are done spraying type 1, hold this down until it goes blue, and you're now on type 4. And then be kind, rewind, put it back on orange when you're done. Let's say you want to use the ground reel. Very simple. You to just unstow it, press the display button, and then you're going to want to hold that down to reset it. All right, then you open this ball valve, and you adjust it just like our other Deice truck with the fan mode, and then you can go ahead and spray. Just like that. Close the valve when you're done. And if you need to reel it in, there's a button right here. All right, on this segment, I will be showing you how to move the truck. Put the cone away. Unchalk. The manual mode on in the cab and it'll override. We're going to fly out. It's important to know that when you fly out, it doesn't speed limit the truck. However, when you use any other boom axis, it will speed limit the truck. If you want to see any of the operating instructions, they're all right here. I'll show you exactly what to do. So if you ever get stumbled on what to do, just refer to that. All right. We'll go ahead and put the truck in drive, release parking brake. And you'll also be able to plug your headset in here to communicate to the boom operator. You have your own washer fluid system by pressing this button right here, and it will clean the top so that you can look overhead and you can see if the boom is about to land on the correct perching spot. You also have controls right here. This operation is very messy, so it's important to know where those controls are. But yes, you can control that boom cab, and then now that it's up, we're speed limited. Then you put it back down. Bam. You as the truck driver are in charge of the panel that controls the pumps and the heater. You're to monitor the fluid levels and make sure that the heater is running. It's important to have straight communication with the boom operator to make sure that you guys are both in sync. Inside this truck, there is a clipboard where you can document the whole de-icing operation, which you'll learn in a different training module. This one is special because it has Type 4 on it. You will also have an airband radio with you to communicate to the plane you're de-icing. It's important that you know the exact type of fluid that you're spraying on the aircraft, and we keep that information right in front of you as the driver. You have the Type 1 Polar Plus and the Type 4 Polar Guard Extend. Also, you will have your holdover times. We have our Type 4 holdover times, our Type 1 aluminum, and on the back side of that we have the Type 1 composites. So if you're doing like an A350 or Dreamliner 787, that's important to know. I doubt you'll get a Beechcraft Starship. Tank stick read charts. We made it for our compartments, and if you need an exact amount in the tank, you can put a stick in there and get the gallon conversion. All right. We use a different flow meter system. However, there is a system inside here if your location uses it, go ahead and use this. We just bypass it and we're using our own meters. So to go ahead and start de-icing, press the pound symbol and then we're gonna go ahead and press 1, and then use your operator code. Some locations use that, especially if you have a printer system. Aircraft code, so you have a 10 key setup, you can enter the tail number, again, if you have a printer system. All right, so now we have our meter. This will go ahead and watch for type 1 and type 4, and it will monitor both flows if you use that system. For us, we use our own, and when you're switching from type 1 to type 4, basically you're gonna have to reset the meter to start counting for type 4, because our boom actually uses the same one for 1 and 4. So it's important to reset that so that you are counting both quantities. Anyways, we can end that job. All right, and then it's gonna print a ticket. All right, so when you are ready to wind down operations, you're gonna go ahead and turn the heater off. And you're gonna need to wait a few minutes for that blower system to evacuate all the hot gases and heat, so that you do not park the truck indoors when it is still really hot. It also will get the truck shop pretty smoky. So leave those pumps running for a little bit. It's gonna help cool that down. We can wind down to a stop over here, let's say. Go ahead and neutral, parking brake. We're gonna go ahead and fly in. To actually stow this boom, you can only do it with that rear engine running or having rear engine power. Make sure you stow it. You also don't want to be driving around with that boom down. It's about $20,000 to fix or replace it. Actually, you can only replace it. They don't make it anymore. Or the parts for it, at least. There's no repair kit, so I just want to preface on there, just be really careful. If you ever need to manually actuate the sprayer, as far as the spray pattern goes, you just press that lever and you should be able to twist that and adjust the spray pattern. All right, we're gonna go ahead and shut down the pumps.